Are you a professional who wants to become a more effective leader? Then get ready for daily tips from the coach with the experience and inspiration to help you succeed in any leadership situation. You're listening to the Meeting Leadership Podcast with Gordon Shepherd.
Welcome to another episode of the Meeting Leadership Podcast, where we give you the practical tips and the strategies that you need to build your leadership skills and learn how to run outstanding meetings. And let me start things off by asking a question that all leaders need to answer, and that is, how much time do you spend preparing your meeting agendas? 30 minutes? 15 minutes? 10 seconds? 0 seconds? Now, as leaders, we all know that we get out of meetings what we put into it beforehand. And if you're here today, it's because you know this is part 2 of the How to Create an Effective Team Meeting Agenda 5-part series. And throughout this series, we're going to be using the word agenda itself as an acronym to help us remember how to dramatically improve our agendas. Today in part 2, we're tackling the A and the G. Tomorrow, it's the E and the N. In part 4, we'll cover the D and the A. And then because you've put so much effort into creating these really blockbuster agendas that everybody's going to enjoy, in part 5, we're going to talk about how to actually market the agenda to create even more excitement. And if you'd like to get the free download that fully explains the agenda acronym, just go to meetingleadershipinc.com/71 download. That's meetingleadershipinc.com/71 download. And with that in mind, let's get started on part 2 of how to create an effective team meeting agenda. Now, the A in our agenda acronym stands for attention grabber. And before I get into a couple of suggestions about how to do this, let me just make a comment about Robert's rules. I mean, this has created such enormous fatigue because these old ways of running meetings where, in this case, on an agenda, for example, you've got the committee reports at the front end of the agenda and you've got the new business at the back end of the agenda. This is absolutely backwards. And the people at the beginning of a meeting, by starting with what we did in the past, are absolutely bored to tears. So that's why I want to recommend that you start off with a real attention grabber. So for example, if you have to say something really negative at a meeting, then just put it right there front and center as the very first item. If there's going to be layoffs, say it. If somebody's being let go, say it. Get it right there as the first thing. This will immediately get people into the flow of what you need to discuss. And of course, things aren't always going to be negative, so when things are positive, get that as the first item on your agenda. Hey, guess what? Our lotto ticket just cashed in and we're all millionaires. So no matter what, whatever the most important thing is that you need to discuss during that meeting, get it up front and get people's attention right away. Which leads us to the G in the agenda acronym, and that stands for Great Goals. Now, honestly, I really think that agendas need adjectives. So the boring line items that we're writing on there and people really ultimately don't want to read and you don't want to write them, get them enhanced by adding in a few descriptive words. For example, instead of putting monthly budget meeting on an agenda, why not put something like discuss year-end bonuses or talk about profitability or any other type of language that people actually want to read? And if you're looking for even more inspiration for how to create great goals on an agenda, then check out your strategic plan, because I can tell you there are some objectives in there that drive the entire business. And hopefully, the wording of those strategic objectives can actually translate down into your agenda that you're creating for your next meeting. And now let me take a moment to recap what we've covered in this episode. The A in our agenda acronym stands for attention grabber. And the G stands for Great Goals. And I think we can all agree that if you start to take the approach that I've recommended under those 2 letters, then your agendas will be something that people actually want to read and get excited about. And if your team can do that, then you know you're going to have a better meeting. And just as a reminder, if you'd like to get the free download that explains the entire agenda acronym, just go to meetingleadershipinc.com/71 download. And here's what you can look forward to in the rest of our series that will help you learn how to create an effective team meeting agenda. In part 3, we're going to cover the E and the N. And in part 4, we're going to cover the D and the A from our agenda acronym. And then finally, in part 5, because you put so much effort into creating outstanding agendas, we're going to help you learn how to successfully market it so everybody gets really excited and it really improves the overall productivity of your team meetings. And if you've been enjoying what you're listening to today, then you're going to really like our 3-part series called How to Be a Good Facilitator. Now, those episodes are episode 44, 51, and 58 of the Meeting Leadership Podcast. And you can listen to them right now by going to meetingleadershipinc.com/44 or /51 or /58. And I also want to let you know that this episode of the Meeting Leadership Podcast is brought to you by the Meeting Leadership Academy. There you're going to find great live training options and great online training options as well, like courses for how to be a good facilitator, how to create an effective team meeting agenda, how to connect your meetings to your strategy, and a whole lot more. And as always, thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you tomorrow for part 3 of how to create an effective team meeting agenda.
Thanks for listening to the Meeting Leadership Podcast. Be sure to subscribe for more strategies to help you become an outstanding leader. And don't forget to rate and review so we can bring you fresh content every day. We'll see you tomorrow, right here on the Meeting Leadership Podcast.
I'm on top of the world, now I'm living, and the good just gets better, keeps on giving, not even close to the